Hey everybody, Chris here again. Welcome back to the channel. Always good to have you with us. So today, we're starting a new segment that I'm calling Retro Answers. In this segment, I'll look at questions in the comments, and from there, we'll make videos to answer them. I'll also answer comments as well. And more on that. I actually owe all of my viewers an apology. You see, I didn't realize that I had my comments set to requires approval. So for the past 6 months, you've been trying to get a hold of me and I haven't answered a single thing. That is exactly what I don't want to happen on this channel. I want to interact with you and hear what you have to say. And I certainly learn a lot as I interact with you, as I learned when I figured this out the other day, thanks to a friend of mine who is more than welcome to self-identify in the comments below if he'd like. I really appreciate him bringing this to my attention. And yes, I will be answering your comments going forward in this form and also in comment form there. Anyway, so the question a viewer had was on the Windows 98 Retro Computing on a Budget, where I installed Windows 98 2nd Edition on a Dell Dimension 2400. The question was, can you also perform this installation on Windows 98 non-2nd Edition? And fortunately, the answer is yes. So what I have for you today is an abridged video showing you those steps. To fill in where things are missing, definitely feel free to refer back to that original video, but I'll show you the changes. And also in the description below, I have a link to all of the different device drivers that you're going to need. Spoiler alert, it's almost completely different. So I think that Windows 98 is more like Windows 95 than Windows 98 2nd Edition. So anyway, let's get right to it. So similar to the Windows 98 2nd Edition video, I've booted up with a boot CD, and we're going to go ahead and format drive C. We'll just do a quick unconditional format so it'll be fast. And then I'm going to change to drive C and make a directory for Windows 98. And I'll change into it. And I actually have the installer on drive D. So we'll go ahead and copy that over. And in addition to those installation files, there's actually one more thing we're going to need. And that's an updated version of ndis.vxd.
To prevent NDIS Windows protection errors on first boot and subsequent boots, we need an updated copy of ndis.vxd. And for Windows 98 First Edition, that can be found in this 312108usa.exe file. And I've made a link to it in the description below, so you can go get it. Now, in a lot of cases with these types of files, you'd think, oh, okay, I can just double click on it. And from there we can install it. However, you'll see here as I demonstrate, that's not going to work on a modern operating system. There is some good news though. This is just a cab file, so we can just right-click on it and say extract using a program like 7-zip. So I'll go ahead and extract here. And that's a little sloppy because it extracted to the desktop, but it gets the job done. I can then take this ndis.vxd file and copy it to a floppy disk, and we can copy it over to the Dimension 2400.
Excellent. So I've actually copied that file to a floppy disk. And I'll go ahead and just copy the contents of that disk to this directory. It's just that one ndis.vxd file. All right, before I forget, I'm going to remove the floppy disk and the boot CD from the drives. And now we can go ahead and run setup. And similar to 98 2nd Edition, it's going to be setup/p space I to disable the ACPI features. And from here, setup is normal. So I'll just proceed through the setup, and once complete, we'll get back to it, and we'll look at some of the unique drivers that we have to set up for Windows 98 First Edition. It's a little bit different than 2nd Edition. There's some commonalities, but there's definitely some differences. So in initial boot, we are prompted to search a driver for our plug-and-play monitor. We can hit next to next and uncheck this, and next again, and I think we'll be fine. With our initial installation complete, let's get to setting up some drivers. I'm just going to close a couple windows here. Now, as compared to the Windows 98 2nd edition setup, we are going to use chipset drivers, albeit it's going to be an older version. And we also need to install USB 2.0 and SM bus drivers. You can't use the NUSB utility like we could on 2nd edition, so that's going to be the case there. Our network and video are going to be the same, and our sound is going to be different because we're using VXD drivers instead of WDM drivers. I think Windows 98 1st edition is more like Windows 95 in this respect, in that it uses VXD drivers as opposed to using, say, WDM drivers. So anyway, let's get started. We'll do the chipset first. You'll see we're installing version 3. I tried to install later versions and they would not work. I think for SE, we used version 6. So next up, we'll install these USB 2.0 drivers. All driver links are in the description of the video. Next, we'll install the SM bus drivers. Next, we'll do the network drivers. We are going to get a similar error as we did when we did the 98 SE installation. It's okay. We're actually going to use the Windows 2000 drivers, and it will work just fine. So we get to this point, we have failure. That's okay. We're going to go to My Computer, Properties, Device Manager, find that Ethernet controller, reinstall driver, next, search, and much like we did on the SE video, we can just go and point to this Dell drivers R64645 Win2K and click OK. Next. Next. We'll point to that directory again. Okay. All set. Next, let's get rid of this terrible low resolution and install the video drivers. When prompted to put this disk in, just click OK and hit skip. It's fine. We had the same problem on 2nd edition. You'll get the prompt twice. You can skip twice. At this point, we can bump up our resolution. Maybe our colors too. Looking good. And finally, let's install sound. And this was the most difficult of the tasks as far as finding drivers. I did find these Realtek drivers, which work with this SoundMax implementation. So what we're going to do is grab this Win95 folder under the sound driver directory. The driver directory unzips as ALCXXX. We'll copy that to the desktop just for ease of finding. We'll go to My Computer and Properties, Device Manager, find that multimedia audio device, reinstall the driver. We'll specify a location on the desktop of Win95. Next. 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 And finish. So with that, we should now have sound. And also with that, you'll see 0 exclamation marks. Now on my 98 SE video, we had 1 exclamation mark. That's because I had a newer modem installed for which there were no 98 drivers. So let's go ahead and fire up the Windows welcome now that we have everything set up. Here it is under System Tools. And lo and behold, we have sound and we have decent video. We'll take it. And just to show the properties page, you can see that there. This detects as a x86 family 15 model 2 stepping 9 with 247 megabytes of memory. That feels a little bit low, but that may be accurate. I think that's low actually. And you can see that this is version 4.10.1998. All right, that's what I have for you today. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot of content in the works. Ring that notification bell and you'll be notified when new content is available. Definitely feel free to leave a comment below. And now that I know better, I'll actually answer them. I am so sorry, guys. I feel absolutely terrible. But going forward, I will be sure to answer your comments. And I really enjoy the interaction I've had over the past couple of days. If you liked the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down and tell me why you didn't like it. That helps me as well and helps us decide what sort of videos we make in the future. That's what I have for you today. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.